Hello. DJ Good morning to everyone present here. Before we begin, we would want to express our gratitude to our sponsors, without whom this event would not have been possible. My Froyo land is the land of your frozen yogurt dreams. Imagine taking a trip down Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and creating your own mix of swirly goodness. At my Froyo land stores, you can customize your cup any way you like. Fill your cup with any mix from our selection of over 100 rotating flavors and toppings and pay by weight. My Froyo Land is the place to enjoy a healthy new treat with all your family and friends. We are bringing the joy of frozen yogurt to India one swirl at a time. Saurav's Car Mart, established in 2008, is carrying out the business of automobile consultancy with trading, sale, purchase, exchange, and finance of old and new cars at the best rates with hassle-free paperwork. They accept all major card payments and sell certified cars and provide after-sale support and roadside assistance. Door-to-door valuation of car facilities is also available. Please feel free to call them for any kind of consultancy regarding your car. They have an in-house garage to provide special care. Their showroom is located at Entelli near Shialda, Kolkata. Customer satisfaction is their profit. Book your dream car now and give them a chance to serve you. A very good morning to Father Prince. A very good morning to Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, our distinguished speaker for the day, Mr. Tarun Arora. Good afternoon, Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran, member of the Advisory Committee, faculty members, our esteemed moderator, Mr. Daksh Sethi, and all the students of St. Xavier's College, Autonomous, Kolkata. We heartily welcome you to our International Managerial Oratory and Debating event, X-Confero 22, Undiminished Passion. This year, X-Confero followed the theme of Colosseum, a battlefield where the participants needed to show their worth and strive for excellence and triumph. X-Confero 22, Undiminished Passion, brought together erudition, rumination, and tenacity in perfect coordination and harmony. The 8-day event included a number of challenging rounds designed to test the participants' articulation of thoughts and shed light on their true abilities. We at St. Xavier's College believe in a vision nihil ultra, which means nothing beyond, and this spirit pervaded in the event as well. The students of the Xavier's Management Society have worked hard to formulate and conduct this online event with immense zeal and avidity. Even though the interaction is on a virtual platform, it will never be short of an intellectually stimulating and enlightening time. Now, I would like to call upon our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran. Mr. Ashok Ramachandran, the president of Schindler India and South Asia, is a man who exemplifies a highly passionate, inspired, and results-oriented top talent general management professional with diverse experience ranging from leading businesses in mature markets to fast-growing emerging markets. His biggest contribution to Indian business has been his singular focus on people and cultural cornerstones, of which includes diversity and youth, in an attempt to disrupt a traditional era with newer ideas and energy. He is also the youngest country head in the Schindler Group and the recipient of the Economic Times 40 Under 40 Award. I would also like to take the opportunity to welcome the moderator for today's session, Mr. Daksh Sethi. Mr. Daksh Sethi is a motivational speaker who is focused on improving the lives of the youth and enabling them to become the best version of themselves. Having been a TEDx speaker, he has addressed and encouraged thousands of people in over 25 cities. He has partnered with over 85 prominent institutions pan-India, and with more than 500 hours of training experience, he has been able to gain massive support and appreciation from every institution he has visited. Mr. Sethi is the founder of Gooby Rogers, which caters to the need of students and executives seeking career professional guidance. He has worked with top education institutions such as IIT Bombay, SRCC, Miranda House, Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies, and Hansraj College, to name a few. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramachandran and Mr. Sethi, for gracing our event with your presence. We are glad to have you here with us. I would now like to hand over the session to both of you.
Thank you, Vidushi. Thank you for that sweet introduction and just setting the pace for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. Very good afternoon, Mr. Ashok as well. Welcome to have you on board. Vidushi was giving a quick introduction about me, the kind of colleges I've worked with. How could you miss St. Xavier's, Kolkata? You mentioned all the prestigious colleges. Isn't this a prestigious college? Of course it is. And I have worked with St. Xavier's, Kolkata on a number of occasions. I've hired a lot of interns. I've conducted a lot of training programs over here. And this is certainly one of the prestigious colleges that I work with. I will be a moderator for the next 30-35 minutes. And one of the rules that we will be following while I am the moderator and while we'll be talking to Mr. Ashok over here, we are 440 participants, which is a huge number. Can we have 440 cameras on? We are from different parts of the country right now, but it's important that we at least look at each other. Can we have at least the cameras on? Let's keep the personal touch intact. Just also wanted to confirm with the host if all the participants are allowed to turn their cameras on or not. If there is, I would actually request the host to allow them to turn their cameras on. Otherwise, it's going to get really boring. And if you're here to talk to 440 odd people, I think Mr. Ashok would also agree to this. It will be better if you're able to look at them.
I don't want to talk to a laptop.
Or me.
Which I'm sure we're all getting used to for the last 2 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can we have some more cameras on? Clearly, they are not turning the cameras on. So is there a setting issue over here? Vidushi, if you could just quickly clarify.
Yes, they're switching on the cameras.
Okay. Are they allowed to turn the cameras on? In the sense, is the setting available to them?
Yes, sir, they'll switch it on.
All right, then let's have 440 cameras on. All right, it is apparently not allowed, but all right, then in that case, Mr. Ashok, I think it's just going to be the two of us. But yeah, a very good afternoon. I hope everybody is good at your ends.
Yes, really well. Thank you so much. First of all, St. Xavier, for inviting me with a very august gathering. And I'm very excited to be speaking to everyone.
Great. Schindler, how has been the journey been for you? How's the journey been for you from a management trainee to becoming a part of the think tank, so to say? How has the journey been for you so far?
In one word, I would say it's been my favorite quote: obscene success.
Mm-hmm.
It started off with a 19-year-old from southern part of India, not really good at academics. Then wasn't sure about what I want to do in life. Tried a lot of side hustles. Went into engineering with a herd mentality. All friends were doing engineering, so let me do engineering. And after finishing engineering, you start thinking, what do I want to do in life? Like what everybody else does. So and a lot of self-doubts from being bullied in school to not being so good in academics and stuff. So from there, to find, I think one of the biggest support that I had was my family, because they never questioned my choices. They never pushed me. Unlike many parents, there was no push into doing engineering and stuff.
Right.
I did it on my own accord. And then I did, a lot of odd jobs. I did call center work. I did door-to-door sales. I was trying to equip myself with real-world knowledge, which was more by chance than design, to be honest. Today, I talk about it, at length to students that don't look at really formal education to enhance yourself, because I think there's so much of knowledge you can gain from informal education and informal work.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's been totally crazy. I don't think I would ever imagine to become any CEO, let alone anything else. But I'm just humbled and totally blessed, I would say, more than anything else.
That's quite sweet of you. But yes, one extraordinary journey to talk about, from management training and to, then becoming a part of the think tank. The key takeaway over here is that if you can, then certainly, the people over here in the audience certainly can. And I think that's the vision that one should have for themselves, that, irrespective of which position I'm joining into an organization, particularly talking about the corporate world, there is certainly growth and there is certainly an opportunity to also rise up the ranks and and make an impact at the end of the day, because if you can, then certainly they can. A very important point over here you mentioned was that there was no family pressure pushing towards anything or a particular career path. Yes, engineering was perhaps herd mentality, but what about the set of students over here, and let's talk about the 400 odd students over here who might be facing some form of family pressure or parental issues, particularly towards a particular course or a career opportunity or marriage, or not allowing them or discouraging them from, starting their own venture, for example, something for them, if you could,
Sure. Well, I'll talk about two aspects, Daksh. First one is not only that, I was able to rise from a management trainee, but I also wanted to mention that we have a lot of stereotypes in our country, especially about if you're not part of an elite Ivy League kind of college, you don't have a career. Right. If you're not from IITs or IIMs, you won't go far. And if you're not good in academics, you won't go far. So I wanted to also mention that if I can do it, going to normal colleges and not being academically so strong, so you don't have to worry about it at all. It's definitely possible, number one. Number two is for those facing, pressures of parental pressure or any other pressure, what is important to understand is there is always opportunity, especially the current generation, to do a couple of things, not just one thing, right? If you are forced to do engineering or whatever course because of your family pressure, you can also still look at doing some side hustles to get your own passion going as well, right? It doesn't stop you. Of course, it'll be nice if you can convince your parents. I think that's the first thing I would do, of course. I would sit down with my parents, show them what I'm trying to do, maybe have some mentors who can explain to them if that's possible. If nothing is working and there is a lot of family pressure, then go ahead and do it, but still try and do something on the sides. And the most important thing is don't compare your journey with anyone else.
Very true. Yeah, very true. In fact, this is something that I also speak around, around the training program that I have. And when I'm talking to college students and youngsters and young professionals, this is one problem that does come up, that there is this family pressure that constantly stays around subconsciously, but that kira of doing something also exists. So it's important, very rightly mentioned, start documenting everything. LinkedIn is again a beautiful platform. People are using Instagram to, document what kind of work they're doing, whether it's an idea, an Instagram business you want to start, a freelance project that you want to pick up, a partnership that you might want to do with a friend or a colleague. It's all about documenting and then showing something substantial to your parents. So I think it's the defensive and the conservative mentality of Indian parents. I don't blame them either, but I think it's important to show them, what is in store and whether it can be sustainable or not. Very rightly mentioned, any life-changing experience that has personally shaped you, either professionally or personally.
Most important ones was all my side hustles. So after my engineering, I didn't do a great job, first of all. I had a lot of backs. I failed multiple times. And I always say that the silver lining of my engineering was I finished in 4 years, right. Which is a bit of a comedy of errors, because there was a lot of expectation, especially, in South India, there's a huge pressure in terms of studying, right? You have to go to IIT or BITS Pilani, and then you go to US, you do your MS and stuff. The year I graduated was the year when we had September 11 bomb blast in New York. So
Right.
the economy was a bit down, and I couldn't find an engineering job. So I went and did work in a call center for a year and a half. I did door-to-door sales. I worked in odd jobs, working in a music shop, selling cassettes and CDs. That was really life-changing. I actively encourage students to not just pursue formal education, to look at internships, part-time jobs, freelancing, any kind of side gigs you can do, because that is where you really learn the real
Right.
world. College just teaches you the technical aspects of it, knowledge on subjects. And of course, now I think a lot of colleges are doing a fantastic job to enhance soft skills. But soft skill is really what organizations are looking at. I don't care if you're from IIT, if you're a topper, right? Because it doesn't matter to us. It's only used as a filtering mechanism. Once you enter the organization, you're the same as anybody else coming from any college.
Absolutely.
And there, what helped me was these kind of real world side hustles, which, maybe the society doesn't look at in a very kind way, right? People will telling me, why are you doing call center work? You're an engineer, what happened and all that. But I didn't have, stress on those kind of things. And I just kept going. And eventually I figured my way out.
I think it's all about figuring things out, and everybody is still figuring it out. And so there's, I think, no harm in feeling that pressure at times, because everybody is figuring it out. So I think it's important to not get bogged down by the process. Enjoy the process. Explore the side hustles. Talking about side hustles, what are the kind of side hustles that students can indulge into or take up during this COVID period? Of course, a lot of
Sure.
physical activities, the college is not open.
Sure.
I mean, things are uncertain as of now, but let's just talk about the COVID scenario. What are those different things that are really coming up in the industry, or specifically the corporate world is looking at from your hustle perspective?
So first thing I want to tell all the students is to build your personal brand, to build your profile on social media, right? Whatever you want to portray you. And I always tell people that you are your own marketing head. You can't appoint a marketing head to take care of your personal brand. So you need to put out thought leadership on social media. Like, I think I definitely recommend LinkedIn and Twitter is the two most important platforms from a corporate and professional perspective. And of course, Instagram is there, which is more of an entertainment based platform, but it can be used for e-commerce based sales modules and stuff as well. And then once you start these platforms, start connecting with the right kind of people, comment on very productive posts, engage with people, not with only a purpose of getting something back. Do not send cold DMs just saying hi and hello. But when you're sending a cold DM, provide them value. What are you going to bring to them? Do some research about them, about their company. Try to find some things that that company can improve, which you can offer, and send something very productive. And then whatever side hustle, Daksh, I'm even telling you that it is nothing wrong if you're going to do delivery of a food as a driver, because you still learn something. You should be open to doing any kind of side hustle. Right now, there are so many of it, right? Like you can go to Fiverr. Fiverr will give you a lot of opportunities in terms of internships and part-time stuff. You can sit at home and do a lot of things. I would say any kind of internships at every semester to build your network. So what happens is every semester, if you start building your network, in the end of your college life, if for any reason you can't find a placement, you can tap into your network and start, getting some job opportunities and stuff. You tap into your alumni network as well and do stuff like that. So that's what I would suggest. Again, keep your options open. Don't close yourself on any options. Right from being a content creator to social media, which is digital marketing. There's so many of it, right? It depends on your skills. So try to get your niche skills, what you think you are good at, and start along those lines, working along apart from studying.
Very well pointed out, Mr. Ashok. I think it's important to explore those side hustles, because you not only explore yourself in the technical field, but you're also working around your personality and how you're communicating and dealing with problems and people ultimately. LinkedIn, again, a beautiful platform. Like even previously I mentioned that you're documenting everything over there. Freelancing is one thing that I would really want everybody to explore. Freelancing is on the rise. Freelancing has different facets, from UI UX designing, from web development to even graphic designing, video editing, content writing, content creation. There are so many things that college students can do. I have personally hired freelancers from St. Xavier's, Kolkata. in the last 4 months.
Excellent.
I have 2 interns working in my organization from St. Xavier's, Kolkata as of date. And both of them were hired as freelancers initially. So I think freelancing is on the rise and it's there. Fiverr is of course there, Upwork, you have LinkedIn where you can get hired as a freelancer. One very important thing which I would also want to put up here, and that is Instagram. You can also use Instagram to document your freelancing journey. You can use Instagram to put out content over there. There are professionals seeking professionals, fellow professionals on Instagram as well. And this is something that I'm saying out of personal experience. My social media content creation journey is not my main focus or my main channel. It's more like a side hustle for me. And that exposure on social media, on Instagram, specifically on LinkedIn, has allowed my business to grow. And if I can, then even you can. And if Mr. Ashok can, then you can certainly do that. I have 40 or 1,000 followers, and that has come from scratch as a pure side hustle, which has ultimately helped me in my business. Having said that, I see a lot of cameras turning on. I've also been told that everybody's allowed to turn their cameras on. 426 people over here. Can we have 400 cameras on quickly? Everybody, we can now turn our cameras on. It will be amazing to see the screen full of some interesting faces on a Thursday afternoon. Really quickly, we have about 10-15 students turning the cameras on. Yes, making a lot more sense.
That's the one point I wanted to make about in content creation on Instagram, especially for the 20-year-olds and stuff, is what I think there should be a lot of authenticity there, right? Because when you hear a 20-year-old telling how to be happy in life, that seems a little bit out of whack. So when you come from you should not try to just emulate somebody else because it's worked for somebody else. Absolutely. Everyone cannot be a Ranveer Allahabadi. Everyone cannot be a Raj Shamani. You have to find your own authentic way of putting content out there. And that I think is not it's a very crowded space, but not good authentic people are there in the crowded space.
Absolutely. All the more reason you should be finding authentic content and putting something out there which is true and best to your knowledge, and not something that you're doing because of the flow and because of its trending nature. Very well mentioned there. So how has the lockdown specifically helped you, or has helped you sort of understand the different facets of society, different facets of life? This is the first time everybody is getting under a lockdown in the sense of a pandemic. So what were the challenges that you faced, and what were the positive sides of it?
So overall, I must say that the pandemic was very, very positive for me personally, and how I was able to handle the organization and myself. Of course, a lot of sympathies goes to the people who went through very, very difficult times. We also in the organization went through very, very difficult times for various peoples, which we supported out of the way. And I'm very proud of that as an organization. But as an individual, I was getting a lot of messages during pandemic from people who are losing jobs. Some students on my LinkedIn was flooded with messages of, can I get mentoring? Can I get coaching? This is my question. Can you answer? And I took the plunge to get into mainstream social media as well at that point of time. And I actually opened up my YouTube channel. I became very active on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, because I could help more people in a very shorter time. And that was probably the biggest positive thing that came out of it. And it's also kind of reset priorities in terms of the focus that we want to provide in the world as such. Spending time with family, spending time in helping people to find a bigger cause. We could all realize that we could all live with less of everything. Even if you're a multimillionaire, you couldn't go to a 5-star restaurant, right? You were happy cooking meals at home. And this is where a lot of my personal journey of, when I was a foreign student in Australia, I was doing odd jobs like foreign students do, working in bars, cleaning tables, working in restaurants, car washing. All those things really made me realize that during these times, I can be just a normal person and not a CEO. And that's why whenever people ask me to introduce myself, I don't introduce myself as a CEO or president, because that is not what defines me. What defines me is how I treat people, how I be with them, how I can help somebody achieve their goals in life. And my goal became leadership with love and creating an army of leaders. So that's the purpose, which I was able to discover a lot more during lockdown.
Beautifully said, sir. I think that's a beautiful thought. And ultimately, you're known by your good deeds and not your position, because position is temporary, but who you are stays constant. throughout. You also worked with Schindler, Australia, Vietnam, and India, all the three places, all the three regions. Something culturally, do you think you've been able to evolve yourself? Language has, of course, been something
Sure.
different, but in terms of culture, how has the Indian culture sort of helped you explore these two areas or the other way around?
So first lesson I want to share with this cross-country experience to everyone is, please try and always find an opportunity to work out of your comfort zone. And that would mean, for example, working out of your home city. Because whenever you go out of your home city and work in a different place, you are in a foreign land, language, culture, everything is different, and you start growing. You become more stronger as a human. You have confidence to face tough challenges. And that's what I really loved about this travel of mine and working in different cultures. Like when the company said, do you want to become a managing director at the age of 31 in Vietnam? I didn't think about it twice. I said yes. I know Sheryl Sandberg from Yahoo used to always say that when you're offered a seat in a jumbo jet, don't ask what is the seat number. Just jump on it, right? So a lot of today, I find a lot of youngsters, they message me and say, "Sir, I want a job in Bangalore. I want a job in Pune. I want a job in Mumbai." I'm like, why not a job in Orissa? Why not a job in Chennai? Why not a job in Ludhiana? Whatever, right? When these are the places which will teach you more. So the commonality, Daksh, I found is every country I worked, people are aspirational. People want to be respected. People want to be asked what to do and not be told what to do.
Is
The
that
difference only comes from language and food.
right? Is that one of the reasons why establishing an emotional connect over a cultural connect has been the key differentiating factor over here?
All the time. Anywhere. In fact, Vietnam, I could not speak a word of Vietnamese, but that's where I coined this word called leadership with love. I don't think that a leader has to be hubris, megalomaniac, jumping up and down, talking in loud voice, scolding people, giving instructions, giving directions. There is unfortunately a wrong connotation that a leader has to be loud and brash and arrogant and a prick. But you can be a very, very down to earth, humble person, lead with love and still get things done. And that has been my formula, right? Always connect with people at an emotional level, at a heart to heart level. Once you win their hearts and minds, you can run the business and drive fantastic performance.
Very well said, sir, because there's a difference, certainly a thin line between being a boss and a leader. And it's only you who you decide whether you want to be a boss or a leader. Because
Exactly.
by boss, it's by virtue of position, but leadership stays throughout. I have another interesting question: volatility and dynamism in this corporate world today. A couple of things around how dynamic things are getting in terms of tech, in terms of the HR being churned, very quickly. Anything specific that you could tell the students of St. Xavier's Kolkata over here in order to be prepared for change and absolute volatility in the corporate world?
So, agility has always been there. It's just that today we are able to see it more on the face because of WhatsApp and social media and internet and everything else. The world has always been agile. There's always been change happening. And that is why, Daksh, I spoke about doing things out of your comfort zone, going and working in a different city, doing side hustles, doing jobs that you probably were not expected to do. You go and tell your dad that I'm going to be waitering for the next 1 month in a nearby restaurant. That makes you agile because you are now a subservient person serving to somebody food.
Right.
So agility comes from putting yourself in places that you would not expect to do. Agility comes from talking to people who are not like you. Agility comes from respecting different cultures, language, religion, LGBT, whatever, right? We all do the same thing every day if you think about it, right? If I'm driving to work, I do the same direction every day. But if I take different direction every day, I'm becoming more agile.
Right.
So start doing things different every day compared to the previous day.
Just a follow-up question from doing things differently. How has, or for a student, how important is it to get out of their comfort zones for a student in order to just keep aside the curriculum, the academics, and also explore college societies, even though they are virtual today? College societies, your extracurricular activities, dramatics, music, dance, debates, e-cells, placement cells, these are also things that really play a very important role in any student's life. So anything specific around that which would help them in the corporate world in the situation of extreme dynamism and volatility?
I think that is more important than your main academics. Your main academics is not going to fetch you a lot of career growth and stuff. It will give you an entry.
Right.
I was an avid musician. I was also into elocution and debates and sports and stuff. So it's very, very important to hone all of those skills, because that's what,
Right.
see, what corporates need is negotiation skills, sales skills, ability to convince your internal customers, external customers. These skills are not very easily taught everywhere. Finance skills, for example, do you know how to handle money? At the age of 21, you start earning money, but are you taught how to invest, how to make,
Right.
make your money grow? So very, very important.
And is this something that students today should be keeping in mind? Because there's a lot of oversupply of financial content on social media, and to be very specific and precise and be the devil's advocate, social media is everywhere. And with overburden, you usually get overwhelmed by what is correct and what is not. So the authenticity factor that we earlier spoke about, also comes in. So any tips or any suggestions for students or young professionals going through that overburden and oversupply of content? How does one actually figure out what is authentic and what is not?
I am a big believer in doing your proper research before you start following people, right? That is where I think platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn are a bit more better
Authentic.
than Instagram. And then if you find somebody, first do some research about them. What is their credibility? What is their experience? What is their background? There's not a lot of people with credible background putting content, unfortunately, right? Which is why I was actually happy to do that, even though I'm a full-time CEO, but I'm now also a part-time content. I don't call it content creation. I call it content sharing.
Right.
I don't have to create anything,
Absolutely.
I have to share my experience.
Absolutely.
And that there's not a lot of people. I mean, a good friend of mine, Ankur Variku, is doing a great job in that. And that's the kind of people you should be looking at, where you'll get authentic content because he doesn't have to create anything. I used to call him and say, it takes me 10 minutes to record 2 videos, but people are saying they need a whole day to record a video. And he said that the difference is we don't create, we have to share. We have the knowledge within us.
Absolutely.
So just filter the information.
Absolutely. One last question before we move on to a few questions from the audience. How has content creation in specific, to be very specific, it's your side hustle, like you just said. It's not your primary focus. It's something that you're doing, you're sharing. How has content creation or consumption of content helped you to understand how volatile the tech today is?
I think what has happened is, I don't think content creation has helped me, but being active on social media has helped me connect with so many people who normally I wouldn't have connected. Today I'm on a first name basis with so many people in the tech game because of Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and stuff. Whether it's Ritesh Malik from WeWorks or Varun Maya who runs Avalon Scenes or Vaibhav Sisinthi. So I think that's what has helped. It's helped me to connect with people who are CEOs in big companies and big organizations, who are running tech companies. There's Harsh from Razorpay. All of them I got to know through social media, and now I'm able to understand what is evolving in tech, which is kind of super fast.
It's super fast, absolutely. Metaverse and God knows what all is coming up.
Yeah.
All right, moving the floor to the audience now. If there's anybody here in the audience who wants to ask a question, you can either type it on the chat box, but I would prefer that you could just raise your hand, give me a show of hands, and I can allow you to unmute yourselves. And all right, we have Raghav.
Hi, Raghav.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Raghav.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Raghav, yes, we can hear you. Go for it.
Yes, sir. So as we have heard, it's understanding the difference between failure and giving up, which ultimately is the key to success. So what advice would you give to the student like us on how to deal with failures?
So Raghav, 2 things, right? First of all, everybody is failing, right? Anybody you see on social media, movie stars, whatever, everybody has failed a lot, much more than what you even think about, number 1. Number 2 is failure is your own assumption of not meeting a set standard that you have set. Unless it is an exam failure where, they say that if you don't get 45, you fail. But let's say, for example, you are trying to learn digital marketing and you have set a goal that I want to learn digital marketing in 3 months, and maybe you did not achieve it in 3 months. So in your mind, you would say, I failed. But it is not necessarily a failure. So it is, first of all, a benchmark that you have set for yourself. But in spite of that, if you still feel you're failed, fail fast. What do I mean by fail fast? Agar aap fail ho gaye, so don't spend too much time crying, worrying, getting anxiety, getting stress. Nothing wrong in feeling stress, feeling bad. Do it for 1 day, 2 days, cry, feel bad, do everything. And then third day, sit and take a pen and a paper, write down what is the problem you're facing. Where do you want to reach in life? Who can help you? If you feel nobody can help you, find somebody online, maybe a mentor or a coach or somebody else, write to them. So fail fast. And problem with failing is also, Raghav, we have comparisons. Because somebody else has done better than you, you feel you're failed. The FOMO, fear of missing out, is even more for the current generation than ever before. So stop comparing yourself with anyone else. You run your own race. I started working at the age of 26, Raghav. By this time, a lot of my classmates had become a manager. And tab maine shuru kiya mera career. And today, when they look at me, they keep telling me that I have overtaken them in so many years. Though, they can assume that being a CEO, is a big success. And it's perspective, right? I mean, for some people, being an auto driver is a success as well. So most important thing, fail fast and don't brood over your failure too long. Find your mojo and keep running.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Raghav, I think priceless words coming up. Mehak, we can head to your question now.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question was, in order to be a successful leader, one needs to have good communication skills. To survive in today's competitive world, what should we as students do to hone our communication skills?
It depends on which spectrum you are in communication skills. It's a very huge spectrum, right? I mean, there are very, very simple things I can suggest. Practical things is joining Toastmasters Club, right? Every city, every place has Toastmasters Club. It's one of my favorite platforms. I remember as a kid, I used to go and do Toastmasters. But even the simplest thing you can do is talking to strangers. Like, when I talk about strangers, not even like outside, within your own class, for example, there may be people that, you have never spoken. Can you every day or every week keep a target? Once a week, I will talk to somebody who I don't know so well. Introduce yourself, ask them questions, prepare some reading. If you're an introverted person, prepare some questions that can help you, start a conversation. And to improve communication, you should also have a lot of knowledge. So reading, very, very important. Watching good content, watching good podcasts, reading good stuff, reading newspapers, reading good books, hones your skills. Because the more knowledge you have more things to talk about when you communicate. And I'm a big believer that you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you can be a generalist expert, which means you can have good knowledge about a lot of things and deeper knowledge about one or two things that can help you to have a lot of conversations. One small thing I do is I read the newspaper, all sections every day, at least the headlines. So if my friend from Australia calls me, I can talk about the Australian Open. If my friend from India calls me about the cricket, I can talk about the cricket score as well. Somebody talks about the budget, I'll have some knowledge about the budget. So I know a little bit of everything. So people will think that I know a lot of things, but actually I only know a little bit of everything. I hope that helped.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
A very important point over here. Certainly keeping yourself updated. Today is the need of the hour. Paridhi, let's move on to our last question. Paridhi. You're not allowed to, just allow me a minute.
Hi, Paridhi.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, we have heard that you lived in Australia alone without your family and friends and learned how to handle pressure. It must have been a life-changing experience for you. What would you suggest for the youth to cope up with the competition and pressure in today's world?
So your question is whether you all should go overseas, or what is the specific question? Sorry, she's muted. Can you please unmute?
My question is, so if we have the same opportunity, if we go overseas and we have to, we have a life to make for ourselves, what would we do? How would we cope with the pressure and the challenges of living in a foreign country all by ourselves without any support?
Okay. So, Paridhi, that's why I mentioned before, it doesn't have to be only overseas, even interstate is already an overseas in India, right? India is a country of countries. For somebody living in Punjab, going and living in Chennai is a new country. You can start from there as well. So such opportunities will come. Don't say no. How do you survive? I think it's about finding a network within the place you go, right? That is why having good communication skills always helps. getting to, there are now communities everywhere of, Indians, or even if you want to find, for example, North Indians in Melbourne, you can find, because you can actually go to Facebook, or there are community groups within social media where you can find your relevant people as well, or your alumni, for example, who will be working and living there. So you're going to tap into the networks available in the country, and just go and talk to people. If you're, in a college, of course, college will give you a lot of opportunity, right? There'll be a lot of clubs. You can be part of clubs, and from the clubs you make friends, and that becomes a support system. So that's how I started. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent way of putting it out there, sir. India is a country of countries, and it's so true that, even from Delhi, when we come down to Chennai or Bombay, it's a completely different environment, and figuring things out all by yourself is nothing but living in a new country. So I think we can start from there. Certainly, we can start from there. I think, sir, I've had a great time talking to you. Some priceless insights, and I'm pretty sure that I can say this on the behalf of 400 odd students over here, that this conversation has thrown light on such important topics, on such important facets of life, and coming from somebody at your level and an organization which is global today, I think brings in utmost value ever. So I think, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time and having this conversation with me. Vidushi, over to you.
Thank you, Daksh, and thank you, Vidushi, for the opportunity. I wish all the students a lot of good luck, best wishes, have a lot of gratitude, be thankful for whatever you have in life. Do not compare yourself with anyone, and keep chasing obscene success. If there are other students who had questions and I couldn't answer today, you can connect with me on my social media handles, send your, DM me your questions. I'll be more than happy to help. I'm posting a lot of content for college students, so feel free to, watch them. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Vidushi.
Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, members of the Advisory Committee, all the dignitaries present here, respected professor, faculty members, participants, and all the students of St. Xavier's College, Autonomous, Kolkata. As we conclude this session, I would like to thank our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran, and the moderator, Mr. Daksh Sethi, for such a thought-provoking session to polish and enhance the young minds. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for such an insightful session today. It is truly an honor for us to have you as one of our illustrious speakers. Your knowledge will be both beneficial and motivating to our audience and will certainly benefit them. X-Confero 22, Undiminished Passion, is the result of the genuine efforts and passion on the part of every member of the Xavier's Management Society. Now, I would like to invite Professor Renita Das, Assistant Professor, Head of Department Business Law, to deliver the vote of thanks. Apologies for the inconvenience. Ma'am will not be able to make it to the meeting. So a very good afternoon to Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, and the distinguished speakers. As we come to the end of this session, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran, for encouraging our students with his wise remarks, which were absolute inspirational in every way. I would also like to express my gratitude for the involvement of our excellent moderator, Mr. Daksh Sethi, who ensured that the session progressed flawlessly. My special appreciation goes to each and every society member of the Xavier's Management Society. We would once again like to extend a note of thanks to our sponsors, without whom this event would not have been possible. I would also like to extend our gratitude to Reverend Dr. Dominic Xavier and Reverend Father Peter Arokim for their good wishes in all our endeavors. This event would not have been possible without the guidance and support of Professor Swagata Banerjee, Dean of the BMS Department, Professor Sukanya Sarkil, and Dr. Shupriyo Patra, professors in charge of the Xavier's Management Society, and all our faculty members. With that, we have reached the end of today's session. I request all students to stay back for a short announcement. Skydine, a one-of-a-kind rooftop cafe, lounge, and restaurant, offers a lip-smacking array of platters in a celestial ambience with DJ, live music, concerts, and much more. It provides a mesmerizing experience, transforming your little moments into unforgettable memories with a ravishing overview of the city. Book Skydine today for a special day to get the best experience in value. Come to Skydine, a dining fiesta. My Froyoland is the land of your frozen yogurt dreams. Imagine taking a trip down Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and creating your own mix of swirly goodness. At my Froyoland store, you can customize your cup any way you like. Fill your cup with any mix from our selection of over 100 rotating flavors and topics and pay by weight. My Froyoland is the place to enjoy a healthy new treat with all your family and friends. We are bringing the joy of frozen yogurt to India, one swirl at a time. Attendance form has been rolled out. All the students are requested to fill the attendance form. It will be closed in 15 minutes. Please check the chat box and kindly do the needful.